Hi, everybody. Thank you for those kind words, David, and thank you for inviting me, Don Dunstan. I'm going to spend 20 minutes talking about my experience in the UK. One of the principles of cooperation is to cooperate. So to share experience, I'm here to share the scars, and the other things I've learned along the way. I'm going to talk for 20 minutes, and then we've got some time after for Q&A, I think. Sorry. Is that better? Good. We set up CASA. First of all, a bit about me. I'm the former managing director of a domiciliary care business. We delivered 25,000 hours a week of care across 7 territories, turnover about 17 million. Something I did up in 4. The reason we're different is we're owned by the workforce. And I'll come back to that in a minute. Melina talked a lot about what co-ops are. This picture, I think, just says it all to me and why I got involved in business in the first place. I believe in mutuality. I don't believe for me to win, you have to lose. I think we can all win together. And at the heart of it, cooperation is about people working together for a common good. That can be people, that can be organizations. I think the main point is about how we organize that. So what I want to do is take you on a quick journey about what's happened in the UK in terms of our health and social care sector, the crisis that is currently underway in the UK, and what role co-ops have in addressing some of those issues. So, one of the reasons I'm a frequent visitor to Adelaide is it's a bit shit in the UK at the moment. Okay. We decided to leave Europe. The economy's tanked, and we're having a financial crisis, very financially austere. But on top of that, we've got a range of other things. I think we've got an emergence, and this with the millennials, about issue-based politics, and actually this whole thing David was talking about the purpose economy. So I think things are changing, and certainly in my industry, health and social care, so tough at the moment, a £2.6 billion funding hole. We've got this huge demographic challenge, which you have as well in Australia. We're all refusing to die. Okay? More and more infants are surviving birth and early childhood, have increased levels of autism. So huge demographic challenges all over the place, and increased cost pressures. One example of this in the UK currently is the labour market, the workforce challenge, 90,000 vacancies currently. Nobody wants to work in care. I'll try and cheer you up in a bit. So what I thought I would do is I would use the doom and gloom of the UK to brighten up or illustrate how co-ops and mutuals can address some of that, and certainly some of my work I've done. So this is the consequence of not having enough social care provision. People clogged up in hospitals. Okay? It's as simple as that. Queuing ambulances. Now, I watched the Q&A thing the other night on ABC, and the NDIS was described as a train wreck. But what impressed me about the panel, and actually the whole Q&A conversation, was how much love there is, and how much passion, and how much investment the Australian government is putting into disability services. It's going up, not like in the UK where it's going down. And it's about ensuring we utilise that income to maximise and improve lives of disabled people, to make sure that train wreck doesn't happen. Okay, so I think there's 4 possible responses the co-op sector can make to stop that train wreck happening. First one is, it's got to be about workforce. It's got to be about engagement. We're going to spend a bit of time talking about that. Secondly, it's got to be about consumer ownership and control. The thing about disability, it's not about fiscal impairment. We all make the mistake about that. Disability is all about lack of control. Okay? What co-ops do is it puts disabled people back in control of their lives and their care. And cooperative models are the only legal way of actually doing that. Thirdly, as Rob talked about, there's a whole range of producer, back office, front office relationships you can achieve. And finally, there's a hybrid. So back to the shit in the UK. So the policy response to that picture has been about personalisation, consumerism, rationing, both in terms of volume and in terms of price, doing a commissioner-provider split, and a brutal procurement environment, really driving price down. I was the managing director of CASA for 15 years, or founder. I'm actually only 35. I look this old because of where I've come from. So, that was the government response. Our response was this: workforce and enterprise are key. Okay? I can't stress that enough. What Australia needs to do is put workforce at the forefront. Secondly, no financial leakage. It's all about keeping money in the system, reinvesting, rewarding, incentivising. Profit motive and incentivisation work, and that's the point about distributing co-ops. I'll come back to that in a second. Being incredibly open. We use this thing called open book accounting. So I would turn up to meetings with government officials with a spreadsheet saying, you pay me £15, I pay my workers £9.50. I need the rest to do this, that, and the other. If you can make it work any better, show me. One of the advantages of being a co-op is not having external shareholders. So there's nothing to hide. It's about being very honest and having integrity about how you spend money. But also you have to be incredibly efficient. Use the best tech. Use the best business systems. Really use electronic call monitoring, a whole range of stuff I can talk about, but I don't have time now. And finally, co-production. I'll come back to that again in a second. Okay, this was me this morning when I got up for this event. This is me when I'm 85 and I've got dementia. And I've got somebody coming through my front door every morning to get me out of bed, wash me, clothe me, and get me ready for a day. I want that person to be well trained, incentivised, committed to what they do, have a stake in what they do, and most importantly, I want that person to be the same person every day. So I want labour turnover to be low. And that was why we set CASRA up. So it was based on the theory of change that engaged workforce deliver high quality care, deliver a more profitable business, allows us to recruit and retain the best staff, deliver high quality care. So the best co-ops and the best businesses, mutuals in my experience, are the ones where the social purpose and the commercial advantage are one and the same. So, how do you do that? How do you make 1,000 employees act like owners? Well, we've based ours on something called the Great Game of Business. So you teach everybody how the business works. You boil it down to 2 or 3 metrics or KPIs, so everybody can follow the action. They know how the business works, and then everybody gets a stake in the outcome. Okay? And we, in domiciliary care, it's about carer capacity and quality, because the market's there. I could have a business double the size if I could recruit more staff. So on every reception, we had a wipeable board, which our weekly KPIs drove, and the receptionist would do the pressure gauge, which was about carer capacity. And if that got over about 30, the care workers knew they would have to take on more shifts, so we could take on more work, and they could hold the manager accountable for why you're recruiting more staff. And every quarter, if a branch made a surplus, we would share 1/3 of it with the workforce. The other 2/3 going back into the business. So that's one way of engaging staff. Secondly, this is the route to happiness. So that first slot was all about co-ops and engaging through ownership and profit share. The second bit is about happiness. Okay? So everybody wants somewhere to live, someone to love, something to do. But what if there aren't any jobs? And this looks at the employment of disabled people in Australia. And along with the rest of Western society, not very good. Okay? And work's quite important for all of us, because it gives us money, gives us purpose. It's all about how you become an adult. It's part of the transition. It's about self-esteem. And actually, going back to that issue about disability and control, if you're an owner of a business, owner of a co-op, you feel 10 feet tall, because you're not just a worker, or you're not just a disabled person, you're an owner of an enterprise, you're contributing. So, before I set up CASA, I used to be a social enterprise business planner, and this is one of the other businesses I set up. Much better market to be in soap, actually. Guess we used to make a bar of soap in Shetland for 28p. Guess how much we used to sell it for? £3, brilliant margin. And we use that margin to employ people with learning disabilities. Okay? So you can set up social firms, social enterprises, specifically to create employment, not therapeutic activity, proper jobs. Here's another guy, George, and George uses his personal budget not to employ a personal assistant to deliver his care, although they do that, That's how George became self-employed. George was a fantastic artist, but nobody wanted to buy his paintings. But he lived in and believe it or not, we have got surfing areas in the UK, and down in the southwest, and he sold surfwear. So we'd stuck his art onto clothing, and it went a bomb. So George uses his personal budget to employ a personal assistant to be self-employed, doing T-shirt printing. Everybody's happy. So the third thing I think co-ops do is they allow people to come together within one organisation from a different background. So if I ask disabled people, what do you want? And I ask families, what do you want? And I ask commissioners and government, what do you want? And I ask providers, what do you want? It's been a bit scary because I've done this in this kind of venue before. Guess what they all say? They all say the same thing. Okay? They all say they want value for money. They all say they want security. They all say they want safety. They all want quality. So why can't we design a system or a multi-state co-op where everybody gets the same thing? It goes back to that donkey slide. Why can't we have co-operatives? Because actually we all want the same thing. Let's figure out how we can organize it. One example of that are multi-stakeholder cooperatives that have different stakeholders, different member groups, and you can shape the board to get that dynamic correct. And it has those kind of benefits around co-production, economic democracy for the workforce, and collaboration. One example of that is Wales, where they've set up a multi-stakeholder co-op called Catrefi, which supports 600 adults with learning disabilities, significant turnover, and collaborates actually with smaller, a bit as Rob was saying earlier, uses a smaller charity base to deliver some of its service. How it got there, I think a learning for South Australia and Australia is there's policy, enabling policy in Wales to allow that to happen. So the cooperative model has to be considered by commissioners, so the procurement environment has been bent a bit. And secondly, a significant support infrastructure. To Italy, just to think about ambition, because I think sometimes in the co-op sector we sometimes lack a bit of ambition. If you look at Italy, you've now got a 1.3 billion euro turnover of the social co-op sector. Social cooperatives in Italy is the term they use for co-ops delivering the social care. In Bologna, 85% delivered by social co-ops. 250,000 staff. So I suppose an ambition about a cooperative state would be you need clear models. You need clear legal models about what a mutual is. You need access to startup finance. One thing we're very good at in the UK is there's a lot of risk capital. I built my £17 million co-op using a range of different social investors over the years, specialist business support to actually talk about not only the legal structures, but the kind of business systems you require to be able to engage and inform staff. You need long-term commissioning, not 6-month commissioning or a year. You need serious long-term commissioning about what this marketplace is going to look like. You need some kind of enabling legislation, possibly links to the wider co-op sector. The sixth principle is we cooperate together. And potentially, and maybe one of the things to come out of the workshop today is how can we start to think about a sectoral development body maybe in the care space? Is that required? I don't know. We don't need talking shops. I think that's my time up, so I'll leave it there, but I think there's time for questions. Thank you.